Welcome to Akahi Update. My name is Ile-ife Usman. I'm here to solve physics problem with you. And this is the questions. The equation of a wave travel along the positive x direction is given by, and you know that this question is under wave in physics. Is given by y is equal to 0.25 times 10 over minus 5 sine bracket 5t minus 0.025 s close bracket. And if you see question like this in physics, they were trying, you don't need to do any other thing. What you just they want you to do is just to compare it with general wave equation that all the physics students, as a physics student, you must able, as far as wave is concerned, you must know the general equations of wave. And you know that the general equation of wave, which you will all agree with me, is y is equal to a sine bracket 2 pi ft minus 2 pi x all over lambda close bracket. This is the general wave equation that as a physics student you must know. And when you see a question like this is your amplitude. This thing that is there, the whole of this thing is your amplitude. This is your sine, and this letter, last letter, and this last letter, you know, you will use to recognize this thing, meaning that your 500t is the same thing as this, your 0.025 is the same thing as this because of this x and x. But the question said that what is the angular frequency, and you know that we have frequency here. We can now say that we can calculate for the frequency. On calculating for the frequency, we have, since we know that this and this are the same thing, we can say 2 pi ft is equal to 5t. And you know that by making frequency the subset of the formula, frequency is equal to 5t divided by 2 pi t. This t we cancel this thing. We now left with what? 500 divided by, you know that pi is equal to 27 divided by 7. You know that 2 times 22 divided by 7. Mistake is 22 divided by 7. And then this thing will now be 500 divided by 2 times 22. We now have 44 divided by 7. This thing will now be what? This, when you have three equations like this will go up. 500 times 7 divided by 44. When our frequency will now be 500 times 7, which is 3,500 divided by 44 divided by this 44. We now have 79.55 hertz. This is 7.55 hertz. But in seeing the questions, our answer are all in rad per second. That's to tell you that they don't ask us for the frequency, they ask us for what? The angular velocity. And you all agree with me that the angular velocity are mentioned in rad per seconds. And what is the relationship between the frequency and the angular velocity? You know that angular velocity is equal to 2 pi ft. You can now say our w will now be, which is measured in rad per seconds, 2 times 22 all over this thing times what we get, the frequency that we get here. We have 79.55. By doing this thing, we have times 22 times 2 divided by 7. We have w is equal to 500 rad per seconds. And when we take it to raise to the power, we have w is equal to 5 times 10 over 2 rad per seconds. And when we go to the options, our correct answer here, option C, A, this is 0.25 exponential minus 3 rad per seconds. Option B, 0.25 times exponential minus 1 rad per seconds. Option C, 5 times 10 over minus 2 rad per second, 2.5 exponential minus 2 rad per second. You all agree with me that our correct answer to this question is option C, which is 5 times 10 over minus 2 rad per second. For my viewers, in case of those of you that are writing CBT exam, This thing I just try to expatiate to clarify the argument that this angular velocity frequency is not actually the frequency. That is the reason I solve it in this way, for you to know that the examiner was trying to tell us, to trick us. What they are trying to say, that the angular velocity they were trying to ask us to find. But if you find this kind of question in another time, in an exam condition, since you know that this and this are the same thing, I know that angular velocity is the same thing as 2 pi ft, and you just substitute it directly and say, you can just substitute it from this equation that say that our angular velocity is equal to t 500 all over t. You now say that this t, we cancel this thing, w is equal to this thing rad per second, in case you are writing a CBT exam. But this thing, I just use this thing to teach you that they don't ask us for the frequency, is the angular frequency, which is the same thing as what angular velocity is, what they ask us to find. This is the shorter ways to find to solve it, and you can solve it in this way and later do it in this way and get your answer. Thanks for watching. If you have any other question, you can drop, share and like this page, Akahi Update. Thank you.